All right. Gentlemen, welcome to tonight's version of our webcast, our Monday night webcast, when we talk about all things international. My name is John Adams, and I will be your co-host tonight for our discussion. And we are joined by the lovely Dena. Thank you so much, Dena. You're back.
Yay! Hi, guys.
The guys, they had like a petition to get you back. They're like, we're really tired of seeing John's ugly face on here. We wanted to see a beautiful Russian woman. And so we had to work on that, and we got Dena back. COVID, has kind of played havoc with us over the last several months. But today I walked in the office, and we had quite a few people in the office here today.
It's busy here today, so hopefully this is the beginning of the end, right? Of
hope
the
so.
end of this terrible year. So
we are hoping.
Have tours.
And we have the tours going on. We just completed them in Colombia, and they did really well there. And so kudos to Maria, Patricia, and their staff down there. They did a great job of doing those tours there. And we have one coming up in Costa Rica. That'll be the next one in March. And guys, that tour is just about sold out already. I've been warning you guys that they're going to go really quick because we can only take a limited number of men, and there's been pent-up demand because of COVID and us not being able to do tours here recently. So if you have any desire whatsoever to get on that Costa Rican tour, which is going off here within a couple weeks here, it's in March, you need to call in like tomorrow, because I think I have an email there that might be the last spot. There may be one more spot available after that, and then that's going to be it pretty much. So please let me know. I just don't want you to come to us later and then get upset when we can't get you on that tour. Same situation for Kyiv Kharkov in April. As it sits now, we are going to do that tour. But that tour is just about booked up. I think I might have one or two spots available left on that tour. So if you want to do that tour, you gotta call in within the next couple days, or you're not going to get on that tour. You'll see it probably marked sold out before the end of the week on the site. So please try to get on that one, or please let us know if you have a desire to get on that. You've been waiting a long time. I don't want to turn you away at the last minute. But I know I will be turning away guys at the last minute, unfortunately, because there will be guys that will come up later, and we're just not going to be able to accommodate them because they have to be smaller this time.
Absolutely. Wow, you've been waiting for that so long.
I know.
I'm surprised they even any left.
I know. Well, they're going fast. Wow. Now, there is a little bit more room on the tour right after the April Kyiv Kharkov tour, which is the April Dnipro Zaporozhye tour. So if you want to get on that one, you need to let us know as soon as possible too, but there is a little bit more space. We just had 2 cancellations on that tour. So we have a little more room on that one. All right. So tonight, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, I'm sure you guys will have questions and everything. And this show, as I always say every week, it's about you. Right? We're doing this not just to hear ourselves talk. We're here to answer questions that you have. I can answer questions, but we have Dena here who has a ton of experience. She's been through the process herself. And so she can answer questions from the woman's perspective, which I think is priceless and wonderful. And someone who's actually done it, not someone who just maybe is over there just talking about it, who's never been married or been married to a foreigner, but she's done everything. She's been through the socials. She's been on the site. She met someone from the United States. She moved here. She's raising a family here. That's amazing wealth of information you have sitting next to me. So make use of it tonight, guys. And we also want to talk a little bit about what's the cost of international dating. I mean, it's funny. I hear guys that'll call me up and they'll say, "Oh, John, I think I heard it was like $30,000 or $50,000 to if you actually are going to bring a woman over and do all that." And it's nowhere near that. But men, they have no idea sometimes what the actual numbers are. So we want to talk a little bit about that. We have a poll question out there, which is about how much do you spend in a given year on domestic dating? Think about it. And you really got to think about it, guys, okay? I was talking with Kirk, one of our senior producers back there. I don't know, Kirk, what do you think you were blowing a year in domestic dating? It was pretty close to $10K or so, wasn't it? Yeah. So, $10,000 a year. That was back in the Chicago area that he was spending. And I'll bet you it's more than that, because he's probably not counting gas. He's probably not counting all these other things that you just got to think about. So I'll bet you it's closer to 12 to 13, 14,000 a year that he was spending on dating, just going out and dating. And that wasn't like a vacation. That wasn't trips or anything. That was just going to the bars or to the restaurants or whatever it is. So when you start doing the math, you're probably spending
And he
at
didn't
least
try to
10,000.
get married, right? He was just like dating for fun.
No, I think he was trying to find the right one. What were you doing, Kirk? Was it just a little
Explain
both?
us
Was it
here.
a little both?
Business and pleasure.
Business and pleasure. All right, a little both. Okay. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that tonight, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the costs that are involved in it and what you're really looking at. Guys, if you ever really want to go in depth and on your own circumstances and exactly how you want to go about it and what you think that's going to cost, call up and talk to us, and we'll talk about the different ways you can do it. We have so many different vehicles that you can use and so many different levels that it can really be different for different people depending on the vehicles they choose, whether it's, say, a group tour, individual tour, executive service. So you have those costs that you would pay to have people help facilitate and help meet and help move through the process. And then once you meet the woman, what are those costs of getting her back here? What's the cost to do a fiance visa, those kind of things. And we'll talk about that a little bit tonight, okay? And before I move on to your questions, and we'll get into your poll questions and all that, I did get an email today from Jerry, and he had an interesting question. I won't go into everything he talked about, but to sum it up, his question was basically, how do you know, John? How do you know when you found the right one? How do you know when it's her and it's going to be the right one? And I'm going to ask that question to Dena. Dena, you met AJ through the service, right?
Yes.
In St. Petersburg, Russia, many years ago. Not that many years ago, but a few years ago.
Yeah, it was a lot, many years ago.
A long time ago, far away. But anyways.
So fast, it was like yesterday.
I know,
Right?
it does go
Oh,
fast.
my God.
And you still look exactly the same. So,
Thank
all right.
you.
So, Dena, how do you know? How did you know, Dena, when you saw AJ that first time? Did you know right away?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, you're worried about it too much. You will know absolutely. I mean, we were on the same page. That's most important for me. If you come to me and say, hey, I want just, go for the date or, like go to movie and that's it. So, no, we've been talking about, from the first day, we've been talking about family, kids. What do you want? He said, I want to get married. I want to have a kids. Like right away. It's what I want to. So, it's clicked, so it's like a puzzle.
So how much of it was
I mean,
you were
we're
on the
not
same
talking
page?
about like chemistry, right? That's of course it has to be there.
I'm
So
asking
I
you about
like
the
him,
chemistry.
right?
Like, how much of the
Okay,
physical
okay.
connection was there? Was there that physical connection?
Absolutely, yes. That was it's number one on the page. Of course, it has to be like a chemistry. There.
Right. You got to have that chemistry, that feeling together. Okay, so you
Yes,
had that.
Of course, it was.
And
it
then
was
you were
that.
on the same page with wanting to have a family right away
Yes,
and all
kids,
that.
family, yes, and yeah, the girls they already know. They have an image in their head. I mean, I know you want to talk about Apollo or the,
Yes. Yes.
the nieces,
Adonis. Yes.
yeah, of course, but our desires not don't coincide with our possibilities sometimes, right?
Okay.
Or like our grandma says, better have one bird in hand than two in the bushes, right? That's
Right.
how you say
That's
it.
how you say it. Yes.
Right. So, yeah, it's all in
And you
our
had
heads.
AJ in the hand.
Yeah,
And you're
I
like,
had
this
the
is, yeah.
He was okay looking,
AJ, he's handsome.
Yeah, it
he's
was
tall,
a good,
he's handsome.
Yeah, it was a good age difference.
Yeah.
I don't want a young guy, I don't want a too old, so it was like 8 years old difference, so it was perfect. So, and he's in the same page. This was the most important for me because I want to get married, I want to have kids. I don't want to play any games, I was done. I've been dating there and didn't get me nowhere, so I was done. So it was most important for me.
See, that's important you said that.
Yeah.
I was dating there, so you had gone out on other dates, but either the chemistry wasn't there or the same page thing
Yeah.
wasn't there, right?
Chemistry was mostly there, but it was not the same page. Mostly it was like just for fun, not like for family. I was ready to raise a family, and I can't find nobody with same, desires.
That you felt was ready and
Yeah.
serious
Yeah.
and willing to raise a family.
Yeah,
And that's
then-
important, the willing part.
Then most important things that is like things in common. You know, if you like same things, you know, not like I want to go party and he want to just stay home, you know, or I want to go travel and he doesn't like that, or you know, or like it's very important to find out what she likes. Maybe she likes to travel like a first class and just stay in a 5-star hotel, and you cannot even afford it, so it won't get you nowhere. So you have to, you know, talk and find out where she at, even, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's all important, and after that you will know if it's yours or not, right?
Yeah.
Because
I
if she
agree.
wants such expensive things, I'm sure she will look good looking, because all our girls like that. And then you'll think, oh, she will want like 5-star hotel and expensive designer things. Maybe not, you know. You have to talk and find out,
Right. All right.
you know.
So I think I'm on the same page as you are. When I saw Tanya, and many of you know, I met my wife. God, we just celebrated our 22nd year anniversary a couple days ago, and I met my wife 24 years ago this July at one of the socials. And when I saw Tanya, she basically just stole my heart. I mean, I saw her, and it was like my heart was gone. It's like, okay, what's going on? And you know, it's like boom, lightning struck, and so it was a huge chemistry thing for me. Yeah. But then when we talked and talked and talked, there was just so much warmth and caring and just everything that I wanted in her that I saw, that I knew that night that I wanted to marry her. Now it did take me a while to convince her of that. I don't know why, but you know, but we did finally, a year and a half later, we're married, and it's been an amazing 24 years almost, not really, of us knowing each other. And that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the social, if it wasn't for the fact that she just happened to be there, I happened to be there, we looked at each other, and boom. And guys, that happens a lot at the socials. You know why? Because the population of people that attend those socials are looking for that. You know, they're not going there because they just want to have a drink or something, or we just pick someone off the street randomly, thing like that. I mean, that's ridiculous. No. These women that are going there are women that have told us that they're interested in a serious relationship and marriage. And the men that are going there tell us that. Now, you might have some people that are playing some games, right? I always talk about that. How you might have a small percentage of men and women that may not have the best intentions in mind.
Or some girls, they really don't want what they want. Maybe they want to get married, but maybe not to you guys, I mean, who come to her, you know, in
Right.
the social. Maybe she's looking for somebody else, and it's okay too. Or maybe she's not ready yet. I mean,
You
she's
just
still
don't know.
thinking about
And
it.
sometimes you don't know until you meet the right
You know.
person. And also you're like, oh, maybe I am ready.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
so you
maybe
just don't know.
she's like 21 and maybe she want to get married in 5 years, but she's still looking. I mean, she'll start looking now, you
Right.
know, but doesn't mean that she's not like serious, you know.
Absolutely.
Like sometimes guys saying she's 19, why she's there? Because she want to get married maybe in 5 years, and she's looking for a friend now, and maybe later in.
Yeah, and in the Ukraine, 19, 20, that's almost like too old. It's like, oh my gosh, you're not married
Yeah,
yet, you're
guys,
20,
you won't
21.
believe it's so fast there. You know, at 16 we're out of school, then we go to university. At age 21 we're done with university, and then grandma will say, "Why you not married? What else? what else you want in your
Yeah.
life? You
What's-
have an education. What now?
I know,
You
that's
have to
hilarious.
have a husband who will take care of you. You know."
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Where am I? Let's get back into this. Casey wants to know, is International Women's Day a big deal in Ukraine?
Oh my God. Don't you dare miss that important day. That's the second holiday after New Year, actually, celebration. All girls waiting. It's not like a Mother's Day. All girls will get their present and flowers at that day. Even little girls, big girls, you know, you don't have to be a mother to get the present. So yeah, girls celebrating, getting together, and it's a big day. So do not forget, if you're in a serious relationship, send your girl a present for this day. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. All right. Melvin says, good evening. Is it mostly, it's most certainly is in Ukraine, not just there, but in a lot of countries in Europe, Asia, and South America. What are we talking about, Melvin? Good evening, Casey. I'm not sure what this one is about. Let's go move on to the next one because I don't understand that one. Gary says, I hear some slight possibility of softening in the Philippines. Is that the case? Hope Cebu happens this year. Softening is probably the good word because they are opening up to, say, relatives of residents and whatnot. So it's a little bit more open than it was, but it's still not very open. And so if you're not a relative of someone who is a resident from there or a citizen, you still can't go. But we're hoping that with all the vaccines and everything that are happening, that hopefully Cebu will happen sometime this year. I can't wait to get you guys over to Cebu again. I can't tell you how much I can't wait for that to happen again. But
so is Rona probably telling you guys every other Wednesday about how she cannot away?
Oh, I know.
So you should check with her. I think she is all up to date.
Rona will be totally up to date. And she'll be on Wednesday. You can ask her as well. But I know right now you still can't go over, but we're hoping soon. We are hoping soon. Let's see. Brett has a question. So I have plans to meet a lady in Mexico in June, and I'm wondering how much it will cost to get her contact details. I'm also wondering if we decide we're not a match, will I be able to meet up with other ladies in Mexico while I'm down there? As far as contact, when you go there and meet, that's included in, they're going to charge you like $75 for the introduction, the one-on-one introduction, and that's included in that, right? If she's willing to do it before you meet, and we have to execute the IMBRA and everything like that, then it's going to be more than that. But hopefully, you do it when you meet, because I think that's best. There's no reason to be doing much correspondence right now if you're not going to go till June. I'd wait, and then when you get a little bit closer, maybe a little bit of correspondence, and then go and meet her. And we'll do all the introductions. We'll do the IMBRA. Everything will be done properly so that if you do move forward with any kind of a fiancé visa, you'll be able to submit that with your package, because that's what you're going to have to do. And what about meeting women down there? He'll be able to meet other women. If that doesn't work, they'll be able to introduce you to other women, so that's not a problem. James said, I spent $300 plus last week. I don't do that very often, but it happens on dating. Yeah, $300.
How was that?
Yeah, how'd that work out? How did that go is what we need to know, James. JR says, I don't date locally, so $0. All right, I like that.
Oh, and besides on a tour, right? Yeah. You're saving your money. That's smart.
Greg says, local dating under $500, just don't do it anymore.
A week, a month?
Well, we're talking about, what was this?
A year.
Per year? You're spending more than $500, Greg. You're not doing much dating. I can spend $500 in a night. I mean, come on, Greg. If you're only spending $500, well, I'm not going to go there. But I'm telling you, you got to be spending more than $500 in a year. This is a year, guys. But some of these guys are talking per week. He might mean per week. I don't know. Melvin says, I haven't dated domestically in several years. So the answer is 0. Okay. Mm-hmm. Jared says, I'm not allowed to travel overseas, but still wouldn't date locally. Ugh. Yeah. All right. Chris says, I pulled the trigger Saturday and bought my airline tickets for Costa Rica this September. John and I will be calling soon about my reservation. Woohoo! Yay. Good job, Chris. Fantastic. I think that's wonderful. Look forward to that. So that's great. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Let's see here. Jeffrey says, John, are there any slots open on the first tour to Ukraine? Like maybe 2 right now, Jeffrey. And as we're speaking, 1 may be filling up, I think. So not many. If you want to do that tour to Ukraine, I'm telling you, this isn't some kind of one of those, you got to do it now because, no. I'm just telling you, if you want to get on that tour, there's about 2 slots left, and that's it, because we can only take a smaller number of men this time because of COVID. If it wasn't for COVID, then I think there'd be more time and more room, but that's just not the case. So this is not some kind of inflated, stupid sales gimmick that I see a lot out there. Nothing to do with that. It's just the facts. So keep that in mind. You will see that tour sold out on the site relatively soon. All right. Because I hate doing that. I'm not one of those kind of pitch guys where, oh, you got to do it now. I just can't do that. And I would never do that. We've been doing this for 26 years. And I believe in what we do.
Yeah, guys.
I mean, we're not dealing with used cars here, okay? I mean, this is someone's life that we're dealing with. And so why would you push someone like that? Yeah. I talk about, hey, this is a great thing to do and you should do it. But do it when it's right for you, when it's time is for you, especially financially. Like if you're not ready financially, you shouldn't go hawk your stuff or go put everything on a credit card and pay 26% interest on it and all that kind of stuff forever. No, wait until you're in a good financial place and then do it when it's right for you. Okay? All right. We're not going anywhere. We're here. You know, it's all right. All right. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about what it costs to actually do this. So let's pretend you meet the woman of your dreams, right? Whether you did it with a VIP or executive service, whether you did it with a group tour, or whether you did it with a individual club or something like that. Let's say you meet the woman of your dreams. Now what? What are you looking at financially to bring her back over? So what's involved after you meet Dena?
So before, it was only one opportunity to work with attorney. You have to have attorney to fill all your papers, or it'll be like a lot of paperwork. So, and it was cost with, I don't know, $5,000 maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe less.
Yeah, less than that.
About that. Now, so much opportunities. You can fill out everything online yourself.
Yeah.
So, and send it to the girl by FedEx or wherever. She just needs to sign it, and that's it. So
it's really not
that's
that
saving.
complicated. So there's different options. Let's say that you decide to do it yourself, like Dena's talking about. We give you a do-it-yourself fiance visa kit if you do any of those things like the club or the group tour, right? So you get that, so you don't pay for that. And if you follow those directions and you do everything right, then you're going to pay about a $550 government fee to process the K-1 visa. We're talking about a fiance visa. Then you're going to have about, maybe a couple $100 in embassy fees for the interview and the medical, right? So you have a medical and an embassy fee. Call it $300 for those two things, right? So now you're at $55 plus $5,800. Then once she gets her visa, she'll have to come here, right? So you're looking at another, $1,200 for an airline ticket, let's say. All right, so now we're at 550 plus the 300, so that's 850 plus the 1,200. So call it, maybe $2,300, somewhere in that range is where you're going to be if you do it yourself. If you hire an attorney to help you with the paperwork, and guys, you want to make sure you do it right, because if you don't do it right, they're going to kick it out, and then it could take another 6 months. So you want to make sure that if you're going to do it, you cross all those T's, dot all those I's, and if you have any doubts or questions, hire the attorney. And like Dena said, nowadays, there's lots of different options, right? I mean, so we can, we recommend an attorney. I think she's right around $1,600 or so to do the process. So you would add that $1,600 to that $2,200 I talked about. So now you're at 32, 38, so just under $4,000 if you use an attorney to do the actual process to bring her here. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, that's really, really inexpensive, right? And that's with an attorney. If you don't use the attorney, it's almost a couple grand less than that. So some guys think, it's going to be 10 grand at least to bring someone over on a fiance visa. No, it's really not that expensive. And then, so now you go back and you think a little bit about, what did it cost me to meet her? Well, that's going to be different for everybody. If you go on a tour, let's say you do Costa Rica tour coming up, that's about $2,300 or something like that. Your airline ticket in there, another $1,000, so that's $3,300. You'll spend $1,000 or so while you're there, $4,300. So you spend about $5 grand on that trip, all in all. Okay, and then we just talked under $4 grand if you use the attorney, so now you're at $9 grand. So the whole thing from start to finish on that particular, if you did the group tour that way, would be under $10,000. It'd be about $9,000 or so to find a woman that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. I mean, that is really inexpensive, and you get a wonderful vacation out of it because you're in Costa Rica for a week.
Yeah, the more thing that can happen to you, it's a wonderful vacation. So Costa Rica, come on, that's a beautiful place.
I mean, for those of you guys that are living where it's really, really cold right now, Costa Rica is beautiful right now compared to what you're going through out there. I mean, okay, we live in Phoenix, and it's been beautiful weather here. I mean, but you guys can yell at us in August and July when it's 180 degrees. I know that. All right. Let's keep going here with some of these questions. Where are we here? David says, hello and welcome back, beautiful Dena. I want to,
David.
yes, I want to know if you can travel to St. Petersburg, Russia for club tours. I think I heard that traveling to Russia may not need a visa in the near future. I see on the website that many ladies speak English. I went there for 2 weeks in the summer of 2005. Wow, that was quite some time ago.
Russia is still closed right now. You cannot go there. But yes, they're going to probably reopen in summer. Yeah, I heard about that electronic visas. They're going to do it. Not sure if it's going to work with US because they're not kind of friendly right now. But maybe. But I heard about that too.
Yeah.
You don't need you just apply online and you'll get a visa. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be much easier, streamline it, and they should.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it's 2021, this whole visa stuff. Greg says, 2 years ago, I probably spent $15,000 to $20,000 dating domestically. Yeah, okay. I could see that. Guys, it adds up. It really does. So why wouldn't you explore another possibility like this? Yeah. Patrick says, how many guys do come on an average tour? Do you expect there to be less ladies showing up to the socials due to COVID? Well, it depends on what tour you're talking about. So if you take, say, the Eastern European ones to Ukraine, average is going to be somewhere around 20, 25 guys, somewhere in that neighborhood. But you could have more, you could have less. It just really depends on the time of year and all that. As far as the ladies, I don't expect that we're going to see less women showing up, other than the fact that we're taking less men. So we're going to invite less women because there's not as many men, because we don't want the groups that we had last February where we had 470 women attending. We just can't do that and stay within the confines and the parameters of what the rules and regulations are in the Ukraine.
A lot of guys complaining about it. Maybe now it will be better. They will like it.
Yeah, then we'll see.
A few girls for each guy, so it'll be probably better.
Yeah, I mean, the ratios are still going to be really good, and you're still going to have a lot of different women there, but it's not going to be as crazy as it was there. And you're right, Dena, some of the guys were hiding in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
They were a little overwhelmed at the pure number of possible candidates that were there. Now, by the second social, they got a little more used to it. They were a veteran. Oh, I know what I'm doing. And so they were a little more used to it. But that first one, if it's your first social and it's a large social like that, it can be overwhelming. There's no doubt about it. All right. Let's keep going here. Chet says, regarding the poll, haven't seriously dated domestically since coming across the AFA a couple of years ago. Slowly saving up for a social trip. Great, Chet. That's wonderful. You're not alone, I think, when it comes to that. Ernie says, the best way to spend time with a woman that you care about is time. Ernie, that is very true. And I see that with my wife, and Dena, you could probably attest to this, is when, the person that you care about wants to be around you, and you set aside a time, maybe you're going to work or do something, and you just spend the whole day with her, and you go out and you do things just with her, no matter what you're doing. We went horseback riding the other day, right? And, with the kids and stuff, and it was great. Because we were just spending time together, and then we went up and stayed. For our anniversary, we just stayed in a little, whatever hotel thing or lodge thing for a day or two, and that was amazing. It was so nice, and you kind of rediscover each other, and it's great. I mean, would you agree with that about the time thing?
Yes, absolutely. But be careful with that too. You don't want to be overwhelmed.
Not too much time is what Dena's saying.
All the time, could be,
That's funny.
But of course, you want to be with person who you feel good with, and it's important things,
I think with everything, there's that happy medium, right? You never want to do too much of anything.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, Brian says, hey, John, Dena, welcome back.
Thank you.
Is Russia open for a club? You just answered that question, so we know it's not.
Not yet.
To answer the poll question, I've been in the friend zone too long. I never got to first base with something like this. Hold on a second. Duck. Sorry about that. This thing just kind of jumps, and it takes me a while. I never got to first base with a simple date. Okay. That friend zone, that can be a very dangerous place to be, yes. New Jersey, Nutley, how much would a trip and all-inclusive cost to go and meet Ukrainian women? Well, we don't really do all-inclusive tours, right? They include a lot, but not quite everything. So if you're talking about Ukraine, if you look at our website, you'll see that the prices there, they're about $3,400, $3,500 for a group tour, which is about 10 to 11 days. And it does include the hotel and breakfast every morning and the socials and all the food and drinks and everything that are at the socials. But it doesn't include things like dinner every night, right? Because you're going out on dates, and so you're going to be going and doing that with the different women that you're dating. But it does include unlimited support from all the matchmakers there, not just at the socials where you're meeting lots of different women, but also on the one-on-one dates that they're going to be setting up for you throughout your entire stay. And it normally includes 2, if not 3, different cities that you'll be attending, and the transportation to and from those cities, and the socials in those cities, and the different women you're meeting in those cities. So it's pretty amazing what you get for $3,500. I don't think there's another value in singles men's travel available today that comes close to matching what we do and what we've done for the last 26 years. There just isn't. And I've said this every time at the seminars and on these shows. If you have one, let me know, because I'd love to see it, because it just doesn't exist. I mean, we really don't have any competition because no one does what we do the way we do it, and no one can come close to matching the prices like we do. So there's just nothing else out there that even comes close to comparing.
24/7 support from our tour leader. You know, if any problems, he can help and, you know, do anything.
Absolutely.
Whatever problem you have there. So that's very important. Who else doing that? I mean, they can send you in a tour, but you're on your own. Here is like 24/7 support.
So, yeah, we're getting a lot of questions again. I'm going to run out again, so I'm going to go a little faster here. Steve says, John, Dena, I was writing to someone in Playa. It was going well, and it said she was getting... Hold on a second. Where was that one? Okay, so not enough correspondence for me. She says she would take herself off the website, and she did. I was hoping to visit her this summer, so we're trying to contact her, and how? Yes, Steve, you can try and contact her. You can call me, and we can try to arrange that and see if she still has an interest in meeting when you do come over in the summer. I would wait and give her some time, and then as it gets closer to when you're getting ready to go, which I always say, then contact her and say, hey, I'm going to be there. Would you like to get together a cup of coffee and see what happens? Simple as that. This isn't rocket science. It's not that hard, and we should be able to do that. Let's see. Chris says, when I dated domestically, it was thousands of dollars with no results. Now planning to be wiser about the dating financing on a trip with more serious women. I like that, Chris. Yeah. You know, I think when you do something like this, you're getting, and Dena talked about this earlier, matchmaking support, right?
Yes,
and that's
absolutely.
huge. And that's, you don't get that when you just go out on your own domestically and date.
Maybe you fall in love like on the first date, and probably your matchmaker will talk about that and, you know, and see, give her perspective on that, you know. Or you will say, hey, she said that, is it okay? Like, take me to expensive restaurant, that's a red flag or not, you know?
Yeah.
Because I know it's confusing when she asks, for example, to, you know, let's go to that restaurant, and you say, oh, maybe it's expensive, then maybe it's like a scam or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you, when you first met AJ, did you have a matchmaker or interpreter with you, or did you meet him?
I'm not sure if she was a matchmaker. I think she just was an interpreter.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we met with interpreter. Yeah.
Did she give you any help or guidance?
No? I didn't need any help, you know.
You knew what you were doing, huh?
Yeah, I knew.
I like that. All right. Let's see here. McKissick says, I haven't been dating much in the past 4.5 years because of law school, but typically I go on a $100 date every other week, so about $2,400 a year. Okay, well, that's not too bad. Dean says, I think it's easy for average men to spend thousands on local dating with little to no success or positive experiences. Let me get down to that again. Where was that? I'm getting there. The tours to FA are a steal, and I hear of guys having great experiences. Has Key's proximity to Chernobyl ever been an issue? No, other than you can go there and tour it pretty easily. But other than that, it really has not been an issue in all the years that we've been going there. So yeah, as far as that goes. And I agree with you that the tours are a steal. I can't tell you how many of our own clients are like, John, you got to raise the prices. You really need to raise the prices on these tours. These are guys that are paying for them and using them. But I've always tried to keep these tours priced really, really reasonably because I don't want to get to where we're just catering to kind of a different level. I want to be able to cater to anybody who wants to go on these tours. And there's wonderful people from all walks of life. I don't care if you're a professional, a business owner, a truck driver, a baker. We had a guy who delivered newspapers. He had all these different routes, and he was able to put enough together to go, and that was great. We had a guy who killed pigeons. He killed pigeons for a living in Australia. Wonderful guy. Anyways, he went. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. He actually got married, by the way. Yeah, we should do that one of these days. Because we should do a show on the professions of the men that go on their tours and what were the strangest professions. Because that one, killing the pigeons, I guess, actually I can use them over here once in a while. There'll be a lot of pigeons over here. Anyway, let's see. Larry says, how do I create and submit list of women I want to meet? Is there an online process to submit the list when I pay up for the tour? You want to help Larry on that?
Yes, absolutely. So you will go on our site and you add girl to your wish list, and you will send, just before you go on the tour, you will send, I think to Michelle, right?
To Michelle.
Michelle, yeah.
Group desk.
Yeah, you will send, you'll pick like maybe 10 girls. I don't think you need more than 10. So your top 10. So, and they will try to contact the girls and arrange meeting with you and them during your visit there. So, and if they have a time and possibilities, they will meet with you.
But here's a little tip on that. And there's nothing wrong with the list, and we do our best, and many guys will meet many women from the lists. But I think that most guys will end up marrying women that were never on their list. I don't think Dena was on AJ's list. Were you on the list?
I was on the list.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Number two, I always say that.
Okay, so Dena was on AJ's list. So AJ
Was
knew,
only
he
one
knew what he
girl
was
there.
looking for. But I will tell you, a lot of guys will end up marrying women that were not on the list. And so it's very interesting. That's why it's great to go over.
It's like go shopping and you know what you go there for, and then you come out, go home with something else.
Right. Happens all the time. Robert says, Butch is in the house. Well, hello, Butch. Nice that you're here. Thank you. JR says, wish AFA did a northern China tour. So little time, so many places, JR. I know, it's tough. James says, the $300 for the dates was with a pretty girl, but I don't think it will lead to much. My mind is too set on going to the Ukraine. So that's what happens. We ruin you guys for domestic dating. We just ruin you for it, Then you go, especially when you go over. Because once you go over, it's like, I don't want to do any more of this domestic dating. And you can't wait to get back to the Ukraine. I've had guys, Dena will test, I've had guys literally with tears in their eyes when they got back to JFK. I mean, tears in their eyes. They're looking around like, where did all those beautiful women go? What happened? And they will call me depressed after they get back. Not because they didn't like the tour, because they liked it so much they want to get back again. And I have had guys that have gone back within a week of coming back after the tour. They just go back because they met someone that they really want to, connect with again, and they just got to get back, and they get back. It's amazing. I mean, I could tell you 26 years of doing this. There's a lot of stories in here, I'm telling you. All right. Mark says, hello, John and Dena. Welcome back. And to answer tonight's poll question, I have spent over $10K on domestic dating sites in a year and have never had any good luck with it at all. Ended terribly. I am looking forward to going to Cebu hopefully this year. That's fantastic, Mark. And look, guys, I'm not going to sit up here and say that, just because you go on a tour, it's going to be so much better than anything you've ever done, because, it does really depend on you somewhat. Your attitude and making sure that you're in the right frame of mind and giving yourself every opportunity and keeping an open mind and all those things. So, it is possible that, you can sabotage your own possibilities when you go on a tour. But I do think that you will have much, much more options, many more options than what you have domestically.
Yeah, I think you guys think about it, but you have to go with open mind and relax and just I'm going there to have fun and maybe meet somebody, because when you like nervous and you saying myself, oh, I'm going there, I spent so much money, I must meet the girl and marry her and bring her back, the girls feeling that, and they don't like it. They don't like somebody who is like so persisting, like running after them, They like guys who's relaxed and, don't have so much pressure. What girls don't like, they don't like pressure from nobody. So
Absolutely.
That's important. You have to go with open mind and have fun. Maybe you will meet somebody.
All right, Greg says, I'm headed to Ukraine on March 30th. Good job, Greg. Ukraine, here you go. Fantastic. Try the borscht. They make these little tiny
not everybody likes
no, stop!
so-
I'm telling you, this is good. They make this little bread, this little garlic bread thing, and then that's in Ukraine. They do that. In Russia, they don't do that. And it's good. Not the cold borscht. That sucks. But the hot borscht, that is good stuff. I'm telling you. You don't like borscht?
I like borscht.
You like
but
borscht?
they don't like
AJ doesn't like borscht?
He will eat it, but not like,
I like borscht. All right.
daily basis.
Look, if you're going to go to the Ukraine or to China or Colombia or Peru, oh my gosh, Peru, the food there is amazing. Don't go to the McDonald's. Yeah, there's McDonald's in all those places. And I think if an American goes abroad and he goes to the McDonald's all the time to eat, he should be shot. Because it's awful. You have this possibility to explore these culinary treasures in these other countries, and yet I see guys going to McDonald's. Oh, I'll get the Big Mac. Why would you do that?
It tastes better there.
Dena, don't encourage them. Does not taste better there.
It's okay. Sometimes.
No, it's not okay. Do not go to McDonald's. Sorry, McDonald's. All right. Now I'm going to get a letter from McDonald's, and they're going to be mad, but that's all right. I can deal with them. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Ernie says, although I haven't dated in several years, I have no problem spending money on a date. However, my goal on a date is interaction. Yeah. I never understood the movie concept of a date. Why would you go to a movie on a date? You can't talk.
Like a third day or fourth day.
Oh,
It's
third
okay.
or fourth date. I'm talking first date.
It's okay. No, first, of course.
Not a
No,
good idea.
no.
You got to communicate,
Yeah.
like interaction. All right, I'm with Ernie. I like to do things that help us to get to know each other. Walks in the park, fun games, anything that encourages engaging conversation. I agree with that, right?
Yeah, the first date actually better be in a quiet restaurant, because you need to talk. First date is absolutely, you need to find out if you're on the same page. So that's important. And the first date talk.
Hey, I got a question for you. What were AJ's shoes like? Do you remember his shoes?
Tennis shoes.
He had tennis shoes that you
He's
still?
always wearing tennis shoes. And it suits him good because he was so athletic, It suits him good. It was nice.
They were
clean,
good tennis shoes?
Brand new.
Brand new, okay.
He always, if he travels somewhere, he has to have a brand new shoes. I mean, brand new tennis shoes. He always wears tennis shoes.
Because you're more into...
Only on funeral, he will wear nice pair of, regular shoes. Dress up.
Okay.
And wedding. Too.
In the wedding? He didn't wear the tennis shoes at the wedding?
No.
No.
He
Okay.
wore-
Well, that's good.
But
We
I
joke with
always
Dena because
say-
Dena has a thing about shoes. The shoes are like the most important thing. That's what you always say.
But you know what? It wasn't a social. We just met in hotel
Right.
in St. Petersburg, in a lobby in hotel, restaurant. I don't remember.
The staff set that up for you, right? They called and yeah.
So he have to dress up, It was cold.
But he wore
too.
his dress tennis shoes, right?
No.
The fancy tennis shoes. The new ones. All right,
New ones.
all right.
It was nice, clean tennis. shoes.
Right.
And I always say you don't have to be like fancy, expensive shoes. It has to be clean. New, if it's possible. And if you go to social, you have to dress up because girls always dress up at a social. Like they're almost wearing gowns there.
Yeah. They really are,
You know.
especially in the Ukraine.
They're trying so hard, their hair done, and nice dress, high heels, and you want to dress to impress at a social. But next day, if you go date, it's okay to wear tennis shoes. I mean, depends which restaurant you go in, of course.
And what you're doing,
But,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Chet wants to know, do you expect another tour later this year for Zap or Dnipro besides the April ones? No. The only one that we're going to do this year for Zap Dnipro is in April. So if that's something that you're interested in, you got to get on this one because we're not going to go there again this year. We just want to get through the tours that we have on the schedule this year. We're not thinking about adding new ones this year, okay? Patrick, hi Dena, love the show. What made you decide to try international dating, and what qualities were you looking for in a potential husband?
Actually, like it's most happen to the girls, it's a friend make you to, you know, saying you like, hey, let's try this new opportunity for dating. You know, I had a friend who, she speaks English, so she wanna like practice her English with somebody. It was a long time ago, and of course we had. I see Americans only in the movie. I never met any foreign guys so before. So, and she went there to practice her English, and I went there because she said it's more opportunity. Why you need to date local guys when you can date anybody, you know?
Yeah.
And it's only one agency was there, so you guys went there.
The
so,
best agency.
Yeah, the
Yes.
best agency,
Thank
and
you.
only one.
Yes.
And I went there, and was all, everything was like they made our pictures. We fill out the paper, you know, like everything like sounds good and true. You know, it wasn't like a scam because I was like, well, had doubt about it. What is that? And then I went to social. Everything was so nice. It was just nightclub, and it was a food there and drinks, and guys was talking to the girls, and you know, it was nice and friendly.
Mm-hmm. And then you met AJ, the
Then I
love of
met
your
AJ,
life. He
yeah.
showed up in
Not at
tennis
the
shoes and
social, but-
swept you off your feet. No, he met you on an individual
but
date.
we met because I went to that agency, so and he used you guys, so it's why we actually.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think it's great. No, I think it's
never say
wonderful.
thank you.
Yeah. And he brought you back here. Now you can do the show with me, so it's
Yay.
wonderful. Yes. But he also asked what qualities were you looking for in a potential husband?
Serious. I want a serious relationship. I want him to have him to want a family and kids. So that's
That was
my.
the most important.
Yeah, of course he has to be kind. He has to we had to have chemistry. Of course, it was important things. But I want him to be like on the same page. I want a serious relationship. That was the most important for me at the moment.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Craig says, Johnny, you're really going to fly her here in the back of the plane? Because I said $1,200 for the airline ticket. And just, I'm just average. Come on. You can go first class with a little bit more than that, but $1,200 will get her here. I mean, the
You can
back of the
find
plane
cheaper.
lands the same time as the front of the plane. I mean, come on. Let's see. Yeah, don't get Tanya started. Now you're going to get me in trouble because, Robert says it wasn't over the top expensive date in the Ukraine. The interpreter was more than the meal. Yeah, it's really not. It's not expensive. And the restaurants there are relatively inexpensive unless you pick some of the more expensive ones, but we tell you where to go and where not to go, so you shouldn't. Patrick says, I think it's cheaper than even you just stated, than looking at the plane tickets. If you plan months ahead, you can get a one-way flight for $600 to $800. We'll talk to Greg about that, Patrick, because he wants to go first class, so we're going to have to make that work. But yeah, I think you can. Tickets right now are really inexpensive. McKissick says, how much to bring someone over on a K-1 visa with an attorney? Did we not just talk about all this? Are you not paying attention? I'm going to start giving tests on these things, okay? We just talked about this whole thing, McKissick, about how much it costs to bring someone over on a K-1 visa. What did we say? It was under... Way under $5. Well, if you use an attorney, it was like $2,200 or something like that, or $2,500. It's not bad. If you do it yourself, it's under $1,000. If you use an attorney, add about another $1,600 or so. So it's about $2,600. So K-1 visa is cheap. It's really not hard to do. It's a great, great deal. Zaporozhye, JR says it would be great on a Scrabble board. Yes, it would. I love the comments you guys give. I really do. It makes the show interesting. It really does. Ernie says, for the right woman, money is not an issue. Love people, use things. I like that. Love people, use things. Money really isn't an issue.
But of course, if we say, oh, it will cost you $15,000 or $20,000, it will be an issue, I think.
It depends
So,
on how much you have, I guess. But
Yeah.
yes. McKissick says, so about $10,000 for everything to bring someone over on a K-1 visa? Yeah, McKissick, depending on how you do it. I mean, if you do it with a group tour, I would say probably not even that. Probably about 7,000 on a group tour, maybe 8,000. Yeah. So yeah, just to roughly say, yeah, maybe 10,000 tops. Yeah, somewhere around there. Tim says, what is the cost for a male to move to the Ukraine? What visa is needed? Oh, I have no idea what the cost would be to move to the Ukraine other than the airfare and then, an apartment when you get there and whatnot. So it's really not that much different than moving anywhere. But as far as the visa goes, are you
I
familiar?
don't think you need any visa.
Well, you do to stay there
Oh, you-
longer. Yeah, I mean,
I
you
don't
can.
think it will cost much, even if you.
Yeah, you can get a work visa there. I'm not sure it won't cost much, but you'll have to, fit the right requirements to get that work visa. So I'm not sure exactly how that works. I have had clients that have lived there, moved there, and lived there. If that's something you're really interested in, I could set you up with Anna in Odessa. She's working a lot now with some of you guys that want to buy apartments there and do that kind of stuff. She's helping with that, and she'll be more than happy to give you that advice. That's one of the things that she does. So, Tim, if you're really thinking about moving to the Ukraine, send me an email. I'll put you together with Anna, and she will give you more information than you ever want to know about moving to the Ukraine, buying real estate, doing all that stuff. Okay? Dean from Denver, is it okay for guys to go even if they are not ready for marriage just yet? I take dating seriously, but I'm not ready for a serious
Yes,
relationship yet.
Because you might think you're not ready, but then you meet your one, and maybe she's not ready to, but you can have, some relationship going someday. But it's okay, of course.
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
not saying that you have to go on a tour because you want to, get married.
Yeah. No, yeah. We've had guys that have gone on a tour and then end up getting married to a woman they met on the tour 7-8 years later. Right?
John didn't want to get married, but he met Tanya.
That's true.
And-
Until I met Tanya, then I wanted to
Yeah.
get married. I don't like the couch.
Yeah.
You got to be careful what you say. The couch.
I
is
don't know
not
if
helpful.
AJ was even, maybe he said, I want to get married. But then he said, I proposed you the next day because I was afraid that somebody else will do that.
Oh, that's nice. He didn't want to lose you.
He make me feel good about myself, like I'm really, I'm so important, like.
But you are. You are.
And girls really want to be with guys like that who want them, make them feel that they're really, really important,
But they're
That's
special.
important, special, right?
Yeah.
Special.
That's so cool. Good job,
Yeah.
AJ. All right. Listen to this, guys. She's giving you all this great advice. You have to pull it out, but she's giving you this great advice. Listen to what she's saying. This is coming from a woman. Dena tells it
Do
like
not
it is.
propose them the next day, okay? That's not a good idea.
Hey, it worked for AJ. He got you.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, because I really want it, But some girls, they may have some doubt, and you'll just scare them to death, And me.
Robert says, my last date was 3 hours and I paid for the translator to eat too. Wasn't really expecting to, but I did anyway. I was happy to do it and I was grateful to have her, honestly. Yeah, because those interpreters, they're not just interpreters. They really help. So if there's awkwardness going on, you have that third party to lean on. I mean, Dena, you basically are helping guys with these Skype calls and phone calls, and you probably help with the conversations.
Just fall in love with a girl over the Skype already. I want to marry her. I want to go there. And I have like a third perspective. Of course, I'll share. I mean, if I see any red flags or something, I'll share with you guys. Of course,
Good.
I won't hide that.
McKissick says he's saving up for a Colombian social with AFA after I pass the bar exam next year. Fantastic. All right. Robert says, so if my next trip is timed at the same time as a social and I do a solo trip, I wouldn't be allowed to attend a social, John, because of the numbers? It's possible, Robert. Right now, that's possible. So if we are totally booked up because of the COVID numbers that we're allowed to have, then you want to do a social only, you may not. As a matter of fact, the preference is going to go to full tour clients before social only clients, just because they're full tour clients. So if we can accommodate you, we will. And believe me, I don't like saying no to people. for a lot of reasons. One is it's a business, right? And you want to try to bring as many people as possible and try to help them. Number two, I want to help people. I want to get people in front of them.
That's why we have 50 guys on the tour.
Yeah, we've had 50 guys.
Now John cannot do that.
No, I mean, you just
even
can't.
if he wants to.
No,
he
so
cannot do that.
and it really isn't the responsible thing to do. We want to make sure that we all live to see 2022 and beyond. So we are all trying to be as responsible as possible to comply with all the policies and regulations and parameters that the Ukrainian government and the Colombian government and the Costa Rican government is imposing on groups and things like that. And so we're going to do that. So if we can accommodate you, we will. But please don't take it personally if we can't. That's all I'm saying. Larry says, my hot list has over 50 women. Question, how can I determine which women might meet me so I can refine my list before I go on a tour? Take out all the women that you have more than a 30-year age difference with, first of all. Then we'll get in closer. Oh, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, how can you refine that?
You have to select them by age at least first.
We start with the age.
What else
If you have some really pronounced age differences, maybe put those off to the side for now and try.
We won't recommend more than 20 years.
We really don't. So try to keep it to at least 20 years or younger, or 20 years or less is what I'm trying to say there. Then look at geography. If some of those women, let's say you're going to Kiev and some of those women are 50 miles away or 100 miles away, let's take those off for now, right? And just try to focus just on the women in that city. So that might get your list down a little bit more. Other than that, maybe you can focus a little bit more on women who speak a little bit better English. All these different things that you can narrow down a little bit. Hi guys, I'm from Florida. I was wondering, are you going to offer a tour to Playa? There seem to be a lot of women from there. Starting to get there. So next year we were talking about trying to possibly do that. This year we're just not trying to increase the tours because of COVID and everything. It's hard enough. I get this question every time. I think we're going to, Kirk, what we need to do, we need to put a banner here to the answer to this question. And here it is. Dena, do you have a sister? I get this every time.
Anytime,
you guys ask this.
You just ask me. No. But Anna is not married.
That's right.
But where is she?
Yeah. She's actually in Russia. So. Edward says, great webcast. Thank you so much, Edward. For the Ukraine tour, are the local pubs, restaurants, nightclubs fully open and open late for dating options in the Ukraine? From what I understand, they are, Edward. Now, some of them might be closing a little bit earlier, and some of them might have some restrictions, but that's easing up more and more now. So by the time we get there in April, I have the feeling it's going to look like it's pretty much like it used to. Are there a couple places to go near Kyiv, like folks in Phoenix can visit Sedona for a weekend, or Los Angeles folks can visit Palm Springs? Anything similar in the Ukraine? My dating costs locally 15 to 20 grand in 1 year. So he's spending 15 to 20 grand a year. So if you're in Kyiv, where could you drive to, like Sedona is to Phoenix in Kyiv? Are there places to go to?
Well, Kyiv is a big, beautiful city, and they have a lot of parks and outside of city, of course. I'm sure they have a lot of places, but the matchmakers will tell you more about it. Of course, they're very familiar. But it's a beautiful country and beautiful city.
You can have so much to see and do in Kyiv alone while you're there. You probably don't want to drive too far away. But there is a place that's only about 45 minutes or an hour outside of Kyiv that Tanya and I went to. We got yelled at by a babushka because it's this old, historic Ukrainian little village. And it's a working village, so they got the little farm thing, and they got the bales of hay, and they got the little old houses, and they got the people dressed like they used to dress way back then, working there. You pay a little bit to go in, and you watch. And Tanya and I decided to go into the haystack. And
it's probably 1,000 years old village.
Yeah, it's really, really old.
in Kyiv, so probably that's one of those historical.
And this babushka did not like the fact that Tanya and I we weren't doing anything that would be bad, but we were just a little affectionate in the hay. That's what you do when you see some hay.
You touch everything, right? You cannot touch
I know, we were supposed to touch. And she just started yelling, and I didn't know what she was saying because obviously she didn't speak English and I didn't speak Ukrainian. But Tanya's face turned red, and then we had to run, and we ran. But so if you want to go there, it's fun.
Ukrainian or Russian museums like 1,000 years old. Of course, you cannot touch anything. Not
No,
like
they get
here,
mad. They get
couple
mad.
years old.
So the cost, because so the cost of the tour includes the social and the lodging, right? The flight is obviously separate. Absolutely, the social and the lodging. It's nice lodging. These are nice hotels that you're staying in. We don't put you in flea bags. They're nice hotels, and yeah. Ernie says, "Great to see you, John and Dena." Well, we
Thank
can't
you,
see.
Ernie.
Our monitor is not working today, so we can't even see much today, but that's okay. Bradford says, "Hi, John. I understand from sources on the ground in Ukraine that if you apply for a K-1 visa for your fiance who has a child, there is a release form that has to be signed by the biological Ukrainian father. The common scenario has been that the biological father demands a $10,000 settlement per child, and that has to be paid before he will sign the release. Typically, there's a Ukrainian attorney involved. Were you aware of this legal detail? Thank you for your response." Bradford, I've been doing this for 26 years, and I don't know one man who's ever paid $10,000 to a Ukrainian father. I love all these, like these rumors and these things that are out there. Yes, you do want the father, if it's the biological father who's on the birth certificate legally, to sign a paper saying that he gives permission for that child to leave permanently. Although, as far as I know, it's not required any longer by the United States government. It used to be required by the U.S., and they stopped requiring it several years ago, as far as I know. You want to check with your lawyer about that, but I don't. But even if it's not required, I would absolutely positively have the father sign that. Now, let's talk about that for a minute, because you bring up a good point. I mean, is it really like every Ukrainian ex-husband is like, I want $10,000 or you can't take son? You know, I just don't think it's fair to categorize all those men like that, because I don't think it is like that. From my experience, many of the men see that it may be a better opportunity for their child if they care about the child at all, and they're willing to sign that paper and let the child go. If someone decides that he may want to try and profit from it, chances are then that he wasn't really assisting with the father, and wasn't as a father, and really wasn't much of a help in that child's life, and probably was not paying his fair share of financial support, which legally he is supposed to do in the Ukraine, and there is recourse that the woman can bring against that person for not providing that kind of legal financial support like you would in the United States. And so that woman has that leverage to say, well, fine, if you all of a sudden want to be this wonderful father, then you need to pay the 10 years of back child support, and you need to do this and that, and if you don't, I'm going to go to the government, and then they're going to take your passport away because you didn't do this, which they do. So, you know, but most of the cases that I've seen have ended very well, where they just come to an agreement and they
It's
sign.
sad to say, but in most cases, father are not even involved
That's true.
in a kid.
That's true too.
That's very sad to say, but after divorce, in most cases, the woman will have a child, and that father is out of picture. I don't know who is at fault, but he has a new family. The child is not. He's not interested. That's most. Like every other one, you know.
I have a
most
great
cases.
story to tell about that, but I'm not going to tell it here. I
Next
will
time.
tell it at a seminar. But if you want to come to the seminar, I will tell you a story exactly about this, the 10,000, and the response that this woman, I won't mention names, said. And I think it's priceless, but I don't want it on video. So you have to come to a seminar to hear my story. All right. Chuck says, on the upcoming Ukraine tour, I have lots of ladies from smaller cities in Ukraine, like Cherkasy, I can't even pronounce it. Will these ladies come to the tour or the tour city? I see the Ukraine map and the cities are closer to Kyiv or Odessa. So, and then he's got this one here. What was that Lutsk?
Lutsk, yeah.
You know where Lutsk?
I think it's near Zaporozhye or Dnipro, because where else?
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Where
probably
else
there.
could it be?
If you want girls from a small city down to earth, you need to go on a tour in Dnipro and Zaporozhye.
Right.
What we'll have in April.
So yeah, that's probably true. But usually, unless you have some kind of relationship with them, like you're corresponding with them, maybe you're going to help them a little bit with their travel expenses, they're not going to travel that far to go to a social because they don't even know who you are. And to travel that far, they usually don't. Usually, the socials are attended by women who live in that or surrounding area, that geographical area. All right, I have to hustle here because we are running out of time. We already are out of time, so I got in big trouble last week, by the way, big trouble, but I won't go into it. Now I'm not allowed to go that far over anymore. Okay, Ernie says, self-destructive habits do not discriminate about location. An emotional reboot is necessary, yes. Barbara says, I did Domino's Pizza and Wings in Kyiv, John, yeah. Okay, fine, do your Domino's Pizza, but you could have, I'm telling you, they've got great pizza in Ukraine. It's not Domino's. Try something different. It's funny. I tried ordering pizza room service in the hotel in Kiev, and I wanted not pizza. It was spaghetti. I wanted spaghetti, and I wanted garlic toast. And the guy in the kitchen who's taking my order says, "Oh, okay, you want the spaghetti, and you want garlic toast." I said, "Yes, I want garlic toast." He goes, "No, you have the spaghetti." I said, "I know I have the spaghetti, but I want garlic toast too." "No. You have the spaghetti." He didn't want me to have another carb on top of the carb, so he wouldn't give me the garlic toast. I'm like, I really want I'm Italian. We eat garlic bread with spaghetti. I had to explain all this to him. Finally, he agreed to let me have the garlic toast with the spaghetti. It was hilarious. I mean, you can't write this kind of stuff. All right. For food, would you recommend street vendors? Heck yeah. My wife would pretty much only eat from street vendors. When we were in Thailand, China, places like, she was eating things that were still moving people. I mean, crawling. Especially in Thailand. You don't know what that is. All right. Jeffrey, I'm scheduled to be in Ukraine 14th of March club tour. Yeah, congratulations. Jeffrey, you're going to have a great time. Tanya, where's the 6 foot distancing? Oh, I knew she was watching. Move over. This is 6 foot. We measured it, Tanya.
They did their best.
Okay.
I asked them to do that.
Yes.
That's for you, time.
EC says, can I be in even more than one? Can I bring more than one fiance from the Ukraine on a K1 visa?
No.
Well, not at the same time. I mean, no, you cannot. But yes, I've had guys that have done 2 or 3 fiance visas. You can do that, but talk to me about that if you get over 2, because there is a waiver you have to sign. And you spend $20,000 per year and going up. Go big or go home is my motto. I like that, EC. I like that. Donovan says, I'm not sure when or where I came across the AFA, but it is out of the ordinary for a blue-collar, almost 30-year-old to go. But is it out of the ordinary for a blue-collar, almost 30-year-old to go on a tour? Ha ha. No, actually, it's not. One of the best stories I can tell, and I'm running out of time here, but I had a truck driver, blue collar, and I had a bank president on the same tour, and those guys were like this. I could not separate them, and they would talk to each other, and the blue collar would be telling the bank president what to do, and the bank president's like all confused, and they became really good friends. They probably would have never spoken to each other outside that tour, because that tour brought them together and bonded with them, and it was fantastic, and I see that all the time. So if you're a 30-year-old blue-collar guy, you should go on something like this. It's affordable. Some of you blue-collar guys are making way more than some of the white-collar guys, let me tell you. Okay, Jeffrey, what hotel do you use for the group tour in Kiev? Rus Hotel, nice hotel. McKissick, what percentage of Ukrainian women speak other Western languages, Spanish, French, or German? I don't know. What percentage of women speak other languages like French, German?
Maybe 20%, maybe 10. It's not such a popular language. English is the most popular there, of course.
John
Maybe
says,
10. I'm not sure.
I want to say that Dena is a great translator. If any gentlemen are interested in having a conversation, translate with a lady, don't hesitate. She is incredible.
Oh,
incredible, with an exclamation point.
I have a feeling we did Skype with you.
I guess he did something with you. Mark says, John, the lady I had the Skype call with is 8 years younger than I am, and we seem to have good chemistry. Nice, Mark. I like that.
That's not a big age.
No, 8 years is
That's
great. Chet says, John, we've gone over the price of the group tour in details. Can you talk about how the costs for the Euro Club are different? I'm running out of time here. I would just tell you that a Euro Club is about $1,000. You do your own lodging. You do your own airfare, obviously. but your own lodging as well, where the lodging is included in the group tour, and they do up to 3 introductions a day for you every day for 7 days. It's a 7-day deal, or you can extend to 10 or 14 for a little bit more, and that's pretty much how that works in a nutshell. So I think you get more bang for your buck with the group tour because all the socials, the lodging, the other guys being around, the energy, but you know, the clubs work too. Because what if the Ukrainian father is nowhere to be found? Then they just you put a little ad in the newspaper, you say what's going on, and then that's it. It's no big deal. McKissick, do you need a release for an illegitimate child in Colombia? Most of the fathers are nowhere to be found. If the father is not on the passport, I do not think you do. If the father is not on the birth certificate, I do not think you do. And Patrick says, tell the guy there is a sweet forest northwest of Kyiv that he can take a date. A lot of history there and lots of free rooms and that are always available. Chernobyl. Don't take her to Chernobyl. Just, I mean, it is, from what I hear, pretty amazing. I mean, it's got a lot of growth and all kinds of stuff.
That's nothing interested there for girls to see. I mean, they can go to any city in outside of Kyiv and it looks like Chernobyl.
Patrick,
so
there's a reason you're single.
There.
We're going to help you, though.
It's depressing. And
Don't take her to Chernobyl. Plus, you have to put radiation detectors on.
She didn't see anywhere else, you know.
Dena is not impressed with the Chernobyl date idea, so let's not do that. All right, that's pretty funny though, Patrick. I like that.
That's funny.
All right, you guys have been amazing. I really appreciate the opportunity, as I always say, to come on and be able to talk with you all. It's wonderful, so thank you so much. And Dena's back again.
Thank you,
so
guys.
that's wonderful.
Thank you. Welcome me back.
All right. So Wednesday, what do we have on Wednesday, guys?
We have Rana, and she's going to have her guest, Richard Faith, from the Philippines.
Rana is going to be on. Richard, who got married on the last tour that we did, who is still in the Philippines. He got married there. He's going to be on the show talking about his experience. How cool is that? So definitely tune in on Wednesday night for that. That's going to be great. Richard's a wonderful guy, really, really great. I got to meet him here in Phoenix, and he went and did it. He just did it, and now he's married, and he's doing great from what I understand. So congratulations, Richard. I know you watch this a lot. You might be watching right now. So have fun on Wednesday night. All right, guys, again, if you're thinking about doing that tour, please get with me as soon as possible because those will fill up. Till next time, thank you so much, and thank you, Dena.
Good night. Thank you.